Dillian the Body Snatcher right here. It's a champ. Big up to Sporting Icon. Subscribe. Otherwise, I might pay you guys a visit.
Now, Dominic Breazeale, the WBC mandatory. Now, whether or not we like that, that is what it is. It's a fact he is the mandatory. And he'll be fighting on December the 22nd in New York on the Charlo undercard, as in both the Charlos. So, Jamal Charlo, he's fighting at £160 against Willie Monroe Jr. And Jamal Charlo, the WBC £154 champion, will be taking on Tony Harrison. Awesome headliner, awesome co-main event, right? No, of course it's not. But anyway, Dominic Breazeale is going to be fighting on that undercard December 22nd, which happens to be the same date that Dillian Whyte is going to be headlining at the O2 Arena. Dillian Whyte, of course, looking for an opponent. And Dominic Breazeale has spoken to Sky Sports about how they nearly signed that fight off. And this is what Dominic Breazeale had to say. Yes, we came very close. We got to a point where there was back and forth negotiations. Got talking about location, him that wanted to fight outside the UK. I invited him to come out and fight in New York. He didn't want to do that, so it got close enough to where we were almost going to call the fight. As of right now, Whyte is trying to fight a battle with the WBC to force his way into becoming the mandatory. The only way to do that is to beat the WBC mandatory challenger, which I am, and I voluntarily put it up and said, hey, listen, let's give the fans what they want to see. Unfortunately, it didn't come through. Right now, me and Dillian Whyte have been kind of on hold, so that fight is not going to go through. But there's definitely a chance of it going through in the spring of 2019, but there's just got to be a lot more negotiations going on to reach a mutual agreement. If it had been up to me, the UK fans would have already seen it. Dillian Whyte would have it boxed off in December or earlier in this year in the summer. But if it goes my way, me and Dillian Whyte will be in the ring come the spring of 2019. I'm super excited to be back on December 22nd in Brooklyn, New York. We have a couple of guys in mind. I know we're going to be doing a press conference pretty soon. It's coming to the next couple of days. Anytime from this point forth, I will get in the ring. It's always going to be a WBC eliminator for sure. So that is Dominic Breazeale's statement. So, by the sounds of it, he's not annoyed, he's not blaming anybody, he's not shouting around, Wilder, he's not doing any of that kind of thing, so it seems that he's pretty okay about not fighting Dillian Whyte. Now, in this kind of deal, whether we agree with it or not, Dominic Breazeale is the A side financially because he does have the WBC mandatory. Quite how he got that by beating Eric Molina, anybody's guess, right? For me, Dillian Whyte should be the mandatory or the number one, as in he should be in the final fight for the official mandatory. But you know what, the WBC made one hell of a calamity cock-up. Now, so a fight with him against Dillian Whyte, December 22nd. So he offered Dillian Whyte to come to New York and fight him on the Charlo's undercard. So it's not even a co-main event, it's a mid-card fight. That's what he's offering. So, of course, Dillian's going to say no. I mean, how much money is he going to get, ultimately? What, 500 grand at a real good push? Or headline at the O2 Arena on the exact same day. Headline, your name up in lights, both of your names. And yes, it will be Breazeale versus Whyte, because Breazeale is the mandatory, right? So, he will be getting a whole heap load more money and a lot more fame and notoriety, all that kind of thing. So, yeah, it makes perfect sense to do it December 22nd at the O2, not on somebody's undercard. That's for sure. Now, I do believe that Dominic Breazeale may actually be up for the fight. I don't think he's dead set against it. But likewise, I don't think he's that interested either. Okay, I think it's a case of, listen, if you offer me enough money, I'll do it. It's not a problem. So I think he is kind of, it's either a case of, give me Wilder, or I'm quite happy to risk it, but it has to be for a lot of money. Of course, he's mandatory. But for me, I don't think Eddie Hearn, and I'm going to be real on this one, I don't think Eddie Hearn has put as much effort into trying to make that fight as he is with other ones. That's just my personal opinion, it really is. Because for me, Eddie Hearn really, really wants Whyte versus Chisora. Why does he want that? He has this, could we call it a delusion or an illusion or whatever, that this is the fight that the world boxing wants to see, or the UK boxing fans want to see. Now, it's not totally not true. I mean, of course, that's a big fight, and yes, it probably will sell out, to be fair. But I think those who watch anything outside of Joshua are pretty much hardcore fans, if that makes sense. So the casual fans, they're not going to be that bothered about Dillian Whyte versus Dereck Chisora. They're just not. I don't believe so anyway, and I think it'll be the hardcore fans that will make up the numbers in the arena, and it'll be the hardcore fans who make up the numbers on the pay-per-view, all that kind of thing. So I think Eddie Hearn's got it wrong on this one. It's just my opinion, which is why I don't think he's made that much effort in getting Breazeale, which is, for me, the perfect fight for Dillian Whyte, because it then forces him into a mandatory position. So Wilder, of course, should he get past Tyson Fury, which is certainly the favourite to do so, then Wilder can no longer avoid Dillian Whyte. He can say go fight Ortiz, he can say go fight whoever, but ultimately it's down to the WBC. If he's the mandatory, Wilder can't tell him to go fight anybody. It's a case of, no, you're fighting me, and you ain't getting out of it. So this is why this fight should have happened, in my opinion. And as I said, I don't think Eddie Hearn put as much effort into this fight because he wants the Chisora one. Why? Because A, he believes it's the one for most money. I mean, maybe he's right. I don't know. I mean, I can't speak for the casual audience. Of course I can't. But also, he's getting his percentage split from Dillian Whyte and Dereck Chisora. Because even though Dereck Chisora is now signed up with David Haye, that's his management team. But Matchroom is still Dereck Chisora's promoter. So Eddie Hearn's going to get double the bubble, if that makes sense. So I think that's why he wants Dereck Chisora. And it's a fight that, listen, Dillian don't need that fight. He's already been there, done it. He has. I mean, Dillian has got a whole lot more to lose than what Dereck Chisora has. Dereck Chisora is gatekeeper. Okay, Dillian Whyte is going for titles. And if Dereck Chisora pulls off an upset, then was it worth it? Do you know what I mean? Because Dillian risked it for no reward other than financial. And yes, he's going to get a crap load of money, and I would never ever say that Dillian should never ever go for the prize of the money. Of course he should. He needs to secure his future, his family's future, his kids, etc., etc. So of course he should. But at the same time, I can also say, for me, I was happy for Dillian to fight anybody. Okay, he could have went back over to America and fought Malcolm Tan. It wouldn't have bothered me, because for me, Dillian Whyte has put in the groundwork. He's put in the big fights. He's the one who stepped up. He's done all this, and he is deserving of a world title shot. So while he's waiting for that world title shot, he can take on a journeyman. He can take on anybody he chooses, and I'm A-okay with it. Yeah, I'm a little biased, of course I am. But for me, he's earned that right. Why risk it against, pretty much anybody, when you've got an Anthony Joshua April 13th at Wembley Stadium headline date? Potentially, at least anyway, if Wilder don't want it. But ultimately, it's as I've been saying for like the last year, I wanted Whyte versus Wilder, because I believe Whyte beats Wilder. Whether you guys believe it or not, listen, it's my opinion. I believe that Dillian Whyte is all wrong for Wilder, and he will catch Wilder and knock him out in the first half of the fight. I'm serious. And then Dillian Whyte becomes WBC champion. So, number one, he's become world champion. Number two, when he fights Joshua again, it will be for undisputed. And the only way to do that is by going through Dominic Breazeale. That's the only way to force that fight now, before a rematch with Joshua comes around. That's the only way to do it. But as I said, I don't think Eddie Hearn is that keen on it. Apparently, Luis Ortiz, he's asked for way too much money. Apparently, it's a pretty hefty fee that he's been asking for, hence the reason why that fight's not going to happen. And when I spoke with Eddie Hearn, nearly 3 weeks ago now, he said by the end of this week, if Dereck Chisora has not signed, then we're going to move on to Dominic Breazeale or Luis Ortiz. Well, it's now been 2.5, coming up 3 weeks. So I think that Eddie Hearn is giving Chisora more time, because he's just desperate for that fight. And in my opinion, it's because he believes that it's a... Well, I don't actually know. Does he believe it's a bigger fight? I don't think so. I really don't think so, because for me, it's pretty obvious what's going to happen in this one. Dillian Whyte is going to catch Chisora and knock him smooth out. He's going to walk through him. He really is. It doesn't matter what kind of condition Dereck Chisora is going to get to. He's at that point in his career where he's never going to get that much better. He may get a little bit more durable and a little bit more hungry, but that's about it. So I think that Dillian Whyte will do to him what should have happened in the first fight. But it didn't happen in the first fight because that was Dillian Whyte's fourth fight in only 6 months. So he was drained even going into that fight. So, yeah, I don't agree that this is the fight that the public want. I don't know whether or not Dillian believes that this is the fight that the public want. I mean, maybe. As I said, I don't know because I can't speak for the casual audience. I don't know the numbers. Okay, I don't know all that kind of thing. All I know is what I believe that I want and what you guys say that you guys want. You guys would prefer Luis Ortiz out of everybody, right? For me, I prefer Dominic Breazeale purely for the mandatory. It's not because it's a fight that's exciting for me, not at all. I just want Dillian to get his just deserves, which has become the mandatory, which he should be anyway, in my opinion, and get his hands on Wilder. That's all I want. That's all I want. And then him versus Anthony Joshua for undisputed. That's a perfect scenario. So by going through Chisora is postponing all that. It pretty much puts that Wilder fight in the bin. And Eddie Hearn knows this. I don't know whether or not he's telling Dillian Whyte this. I don't know. But Dillian's a smart guy. He probably knows all this himself. But yeah, anyway, so Dominic Breazeale, he says to Dillian Whyte that he's quite willing to fight him, but it must be in New York. In other words, on the undercard of the Charlos, who are fighting, let's be honest, to not so stellar opposition. So it's not. I mean, I wouldn't fight Dominic Breazeale if I was White. Not at all. Even if it was for mandatory. I mean, why should he go there and get, 500 grand at an absolute maximum? And he'll be lucky to get that, to be fair, when he can go fight him at the O2 Arena on the exact same day as a headliner and earn a crap load more money. But anyway, that's just my opinion. So you drop me your opinion in the comment section below. Click that thumbs up. And of course, subscribe. Catch you all on the next video.